Hey guys, this is the calculator active section of the Unit 1 review. So that means we are going to use Desmos as much as we can for these questions. So let's look at the first one. It says, what is the value of x in the equation below? Well, we could solve this using Don't Call Me After Midnight, or since we have Desmos, we can just type it in. So we can type in the left side of this equation in one line of Desmos. I'm just going to put into parentheses x plus 8 minus 4x. And then I'm going to type in the other side of the equation, or the other side of the equal sign, into a different line. So I've got 10x plus 4. And then if you're wondering, how do I find the solution from this? We're going to zoom in and we're going to find where those lines cross. And that's going to be our solution. But we are looking for the x of this equation. So we want to know the x value. If you notice, there are two numbers there. There's 1 and there's 14. But we are looking for the x value, so we're going to take the first number in that coordinate pair. It's going to be x is 1. Our next problem is a word problem. So we're talking about Karen. She has 2 dogs. The larger dog weighs 1.4 pounds more than the smaller dog. So let's define our variables. So we got a small dog. Let's make that, let's say the small dog is going to be x. Okay. And then it tells us that the large dog, sorry guys, the large dog weighs 1.4 pounds more than the smaller dog. So the large dog is going to be whatever the small dog is, so x. And then it's 1.4 pounds more, so more means we're going to add 1.4 to that. Then it tells us the combined means we're going to add weight of the 2 dogs is 12.6 pounds. So is means equal to. So if we put this into an equation, that says if we combine the small dog and the large dog, so x and x plus 1.4, the combined weight is equal to 12.6. And then we want to know the weight of the smaller dog. So we are just going to take that equation again, and we can type it into Desmos and set it equal to 12.6. And then if we want to know the answer, we'll see where we are crossing the x-axis. Zoom out a little bit. But we crossed at 5.6. So x, or our small dog, is going to weigh 5.6 pounds. And for this problem, we are done because it was asking us for the smaller dog. But be careful, because sometimes they'll ask you for the other variable. So they might ask you for the weight of the large dog, and then you would have to plug that back in for x. Moving on, let's look at this rectangle problem. So it says the width of a rectangle is 3/4 its length. I always like to draw a picture first. So we've got a rectangle. The width, or the short sides, are 3/4 the length. So that just means 3/4 times whatever the length is. Okay. And we know the length is just going to be the length. And we know that the perimeter, so if we add length plus width plus length plus width, if we add that all together, perimeter is going to equal 420 feet. So to solve for the length, which is what our goal is here, we're going to have to make an equation. And we've kind of already done that. So we know that perimeter is adding up all the sides. So I'm just going to say 3/4 times the length plus my other width, which is 3/4 times the length, plus both of my lengths, which are just L. All added up equals 420. And again, we can solve that in Desmos, so I'm just going to type it in. I'm going to say 3/4, but I'm going to use x this time. Desmos likes it better when we use x. So I'm going to say 3/4 times x plus 3/4 times x. And remember, if you just type it in the way it looks, it's going to end up with x on the denominator, and we don't want that. We've got to hit the arrow to get us out of that denominator before we hit x. So 3/4 times x plus 3/4 times x plus x plus x. And that's all equal to 420 feet. And so if we find our x-intercept there, it is 120 and 0. Well, we want the x value, so we're going to take the first one, and x, or L, our length, equals 120 feet. If you wanted to check that, you could go plug in 120 for x and make sure that it equals 120. And it does. I'm not going to waste your time typing that in, but you are welcome to do so if you want to. Well, we're almost there. Might as well. Oops, okay. It's 120. You can check if you want. The next one, a function is shown below. G of x equals 19.60 plus 1.74x, and we want to know the value of g of x, or g of 30, sorry. So wherever we have one of these function notation problems, we are just going to plug in that number in parentheses everywhere that we see an x. Okay, so I left that x blank right there, but that 30 is going to be plugged in. So let's do that in red. And this one's pretty straightforward as well. We can just type it straight into Desmos. So we're going to say 19.60 plus 1.74 times 30. And then we end up with 71.8. So g of 30, also you could write that as y equals. That just tells us what we're plugging in for x. So g of 30 equals 71.8. All right, let's keep on going. The next one, so cell phone company Y charges a $10 startup fee plus a 10 cent per minute fee. So if you remember, we're going to write an equation for this. So if we were to write an equation here, our initial fee, so the startup fee, would be $10. So our y-intercept is going to be $10. And then our per minute fee, we know, is our slope. So we've got 0.10x is going to be our slope. So that's our equation there. We've got y equals 0.1x plus 10. Our next one for company Z, they charge 20 cents per minute with no startup fee. So the y-intercept for this one's going to be 0. There's no initial fee. But we charge 20 cents per minute, so our slope is going to be 0.2. Or 0.20. Same thing. And then it says, which function represents the difference in cost between company Y and company Z? So for this one, we are just going to subtract this whole equation. So if I had 0.10x plus 10, I'm going to subtract 0.20x plus 0. So I would distribute that negative out, end up with 0.10x plus 10 minus 0.20x, and then that negative 0 isn't going to change anything. So then I am going to just combine like terms, and we're going to end up with a negative 0.10x, and our constant will be a positive 10. So I believe that is answer choice B. So you'll make your equation, and then whenever it says difference, that means subtract. So we will subtract. Our next one, it says determine the value of B for the equation below. We could very easily do don't call me after midnight here. I'll actually go through both ways just in case. So remember, this is like we've got to distribute first. So we end up with 5x minus 4x minus 3. and that plus 12. So that's our don't, so we distributed. Then we're going to combine like terms. So 5x minus 4x gives us 1x. And we're going to combine our constants as well. So 12 and negative 3 gives us positive 9. Oh, hold that thought. I distributed wrong. So if we distribute, we end up with 5x and then negative 4x plus 12, and then that plus 12. See, I made a mistake. I did not distribute the negative 4 to the negative 3. So make sure you're being careful there. So we got negative 4x, and then that negative 4 times negative 3 gives us that positive 12, and then we had another positive 12 that we need to bring down. So if we combine the like terms now, if we did it correctly, we end up with 1x, and then 2 positive 12s gives us a 24. Okay, and then we want to know the value of b. So b, we can see here, is the number without an x beside it. So it's the constant term. Okay, and in our simplified expression down here, the one without x beside it is 24. So b equals 24. Another way to do this, using our new knowledge from Unit 2, is we could have typed this into Desmos. We could have said 5x minus 4 times x minus 3 plus 12. And we know that in a linear equation, the constant is our y-intercept. So we could have clicked on that graph to see that our y-intercept is 24, therefore our b, or our constant, had to be 24. So that's an option as well. The last one, it's kind of like it's a literal equation type problem. So it says a company uses the formula T equals 581S plus 150P to determine the total cost to purchase S computers and P printers. And we want to know which formula can be used to determine the number of printers purchased if we were given the cost, T, and the number of computers. So this just means, so if we want an equation to find the number of printers, that means that we're going to solve for printers, or solve for P, and get P by itself. So if I've got T equals 581S plus 150P, we are going to do that reverse PEMDAS. Okay, so we're going to start with addition and subtraction. We're going to try our best to get P by itself. So we want to look and see what's being done to P. Well, right now we are adding 581S. Oops. Oh no. There we go. 581S, and we're also multiplying 150. But since we're doing reverse PEMDAS, we're going to do addition and subtraction first. So we're going to get rid of that positive 581S. We're going to subtract it on both sides. So now we end up with T minus 581S equals 150P. And again, we're trying to get P by itself. So we got to undo what's being done. Right now we're multiplying by 150. So our second step is to undo multiplication and division. So we're going to divide by 150, which will make that 1P. So P equals T minus 581S divided by 150. And that's our answer. Good job, guys. We'll have another one of these for Unit 2 and Unit 3. So keep on working hard.